surrounding communities.
Between now and Saturday morning, appointments will only be filled for those people in zip codes that are surrounding this area.
According to Reuters, the Biden administration is expected to release a declassified U.S. intelligence report tomorrow that says Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman approved the killing of journalist Jamal.
Done very much in the hobby. Emphasizing.
DA Eric Gonzalez, Covington told investigators he targeted his victims because they were women and light-skinned. Charges include second-degree burglary as a hate crime, second-degree strangulation as a hate crime, third-degree assault as a hate crime, and third-degree menacing as a hate crime. He could face up to 25 years to life in prison if convicted. The National Transportation Safety Board says it plans to destroy the remaining wreckage from TWA Flight 800 after using it as a training tool for nearly 20 years. The plane exploded off the coast of Long Island shortly after taking off from JFK Airport. It became the longest and most expensive investigation in aviation history. The wreckage has been in a warehouse outside of D.C., and it's been used to teach air crash investigators from many parts of the world. Personal note, I was one of the first on the scene that night. I was a CBS News correspondent at the time and did live reports from a boat that was picking up wreckage. 49 degrees, mostly cloudy skies, humidity 56%, 49 in Secaucus, 45 in Bay Ridge, 44 in Allendale. Winds news time 9:25.
Introducing Money Dot, a new game from the New York Lottery. Only $1 to play. And if you match with a dot, you win money. It's that simple. Want to know if you won? Just check in store or watch the Quick Draw live show on our mobile app. Money Dot from the New York Lottery. Look for it where Quick Draw is played. Must be 18 years or older to purchase a lottery ticket. You must be 21 years or older to purchase a Quick Draw ticket where alcoholic beverages are served. Please play responsibly.
1877 cards for kids. KARS cards for kids.
X has just dramatically changed. A year ago, there would not be a Knicks fan on the planet telling you they'd rather have Julius Randle and Kristaps Porzingis. How could you make the argument? Porzingis had an all-star year in Dallas. Porzingis appeared to be an ascending player. Randle kind of was bouncing around from team to team and maybe putting up numbers on lousy teams. And not doing the little things that are necessary in order to win. That was kind of a knock on Julius Randle. You've watched Julius Randle play this year. He's been a different guy. I don't know if it's the work that he put in the offseason. I don't know if it's changing his body a little bit. I don't know if it's Tom Thibodeau demanding a certain level of play out of him. But Randle is now at a point where he's not going to get traded. And I get the sense the Knickerbockers might be thinking of him as somebody that they can build with moving forward. Now, I caution the Knicks fan in thinking that a team led by Julius Randle and Bradley Beal, let's say, is going to be good enough to win an NBA.
On Wall Street, a record. The Dow rose to within 40 points of 32,000, up 425. The Nasdaq added 133, the S&P 44. Bloomberg Money Watch at 26 and 56 past every hour. I'm Joan Doniger for 1010 Wins.
Winds news time 9:28. If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt, debt to the IRS? This is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation. Call 800-741-3889. 800-741-3889. 800-741-3889. Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
What can give you a competitive edge in today's red-hot housing market? Rocket can. That's because Rocket Mortgage can give you a verified approval. It could help your offer stand out. Rocket Technology provides a rock-solid verification of your income, assets, and credit, giving sellers greater confidence in you. Go to RocketMortgage.com or call us today at 8338-ROCKET.
A verified approval is based on underwriting analysis of your individual financial information, appraisal, and report, call for cost information, and conditions equal housing lender license, control 50 states, and consumer access, or number 3030. Have you wanted to speak a new language, but thought it would be too difficult? Then try Babbel. Babbel starts by teaching you words and phrases that gradually get more complex. Soon, you're practicing short conversations. So in 15 minutes a day, you'll be speaking a new language in a few weeks. Babbel is built around real life. It teaches you practical conversations that you will actually use. Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free. Just text TRY to 64,000 to start learning a new language today. That's TRY to 64,000. 49 degrees, mostly cloudy in New York. Good evening, I'm Paul James. Wednesday News Time, 9:30. Middle schools to reopen tomorrow in the city for in-person learning.
Mayor de Blasio will be visiting middle schools when they reopen. He says city schools are the safest place to be in New York City.
We said we would do testing constantly. Today, in our public schools, we'll get to the 500,000 tests.
His Honor says the CDC adopted many of the city's guidelines for testing, social distancing, and cleanliness. The mayor is looking ahead at opening high schools, but there's no firm timetable for that yet.
Another step forward in this recovery. Remember, recovery of New York City requires our public schools to come back stronger.
The mayor is determined to have all schools fully open for the start of the school year in September. Juliette Papa, 1010 Wins News.
West News Time, 9:31. Time for traffic and transit. Here's Kelly Dillon.
Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. The outbound George upper deck under the apartment. Word of an accident jamming things up pretty quickly. If you can, the lower deck, the way to go. Not too bad either way, the Lincoln or Holland. We do have this overturned car in New Jersey, westbound Route 24. This is right before exit 2 in Forum Park, and that left lane still jamming things up. The northbound side of the New Jersey Turnpike Western Spur closed for construction tonight entirely, so everyone has to use the Eastern Spur. Right now, the northbound Eastern Spur is backing up a bit. We do have construction work jamming up the westbound Grand Central into the Kew Gardens Interchange. The two left lanes down. We also do have a crash on the westbound belt right past Prospect Boulevard. Still backing things up a couple lanes out. Here's what we see on Long Island Big 3. Still not too much happening through Nassau County tonight along the LIE, the northern or the southern state parkways. Traffic and transit every 10 minutes on the ones and breaking traffic alerts whenever they happen. I'm Kelly Dillon on 1010 Wins.
West News Time, 9:32. Now, the 1010 Wins AccuWeather Oxygen 4-day forecast. Here's Brian Thompson.
There can be a spotty shower early on tonight. Most areas, though, will stay dry. Will be brisk with patchy clouds overnight. Low 37 in the city. It will get down into the low 30s in the suburbs. Windy and somewhat chillier on Thursday with a good deal of sunshine. High 45. Clear to partly cloudy and colder Thursday night, but not as windy. Low 31 in the city. Mid-20s in some suburbs. Mainly sunny on Friday, a high of 43. Won't be as much wind around on Friday. And then rain will arrive late Friday night. There could be a little bit of snow or sleet mixed in at the start in some spots. And then as we get through the day on Saturday, we'll have occasional rain and a high of 51. Could be a few more showers on Sunday with a mostly cloudy sky and a high around 48. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Brian Thompson on New York's weather station, 1010 Winds.
49 degrees, mostly cloudy skies, humidity 56%. It's 42 in Long Beach, 49 in West Orange, 44 degrees in Saddlebrook. Bruce puts a problem behind him, and his Jeep ad is coming back. It's coming up on 1010 Wins News Time 933.
It's my job to protect my family, and with how much I've read recently about germs and disease inside the home, I'm glad to be partnering with IQ Air to do something about it. Protecting your kids, your loved ones, and yourself at home is the most important way to keep your family safe and healthy. That's why IQ Air developed the award-winning Autumn Series personal air purifiers and Health Pro Series room air purifiers. With patented industry-leading hyper-HEPA filtration, IQ Air air purifiers eliminate up to 99.5% of airborne particulates down to 0.003 microns, the smallest particles that exist. Swiss designed, German made, IQ air purifiers are ranked top worldwide for viruses, bacteria, mold, pollen, smoke, dust, traffic pollution, and much more. Learn more at iqair.com/US or give them a call at 800-500-4AIR. That's iqair.com/US or 800-500-4AIR.
Wins News Time 934. Drunken driving charges have been dropped against Bruce Springsteen. He will pay a fine.
Federal prosecutors declined to pursue charges of drunken driving and reckless driving against Bruce Springsteen because his blood alcohol level was .02, a quarter of the legal limit in New Jersey. Springsteen pleaded guilty to a third charge, consuming alcohol in a closed area. Springsteen told a judge during a video conference he had 2 small shots of tequila. He will pay a $500 fine. U.S. Park Police say an officer saw Springsteen drink a shot of tequila and drive on his motorcycle in the Gateway National Recreation Area in New Jersey in November. I'm Margie Zaraletta.
Variety is reporting that Jeep is reinstating that Super Bowl ad featuring Springsteen. A 6-year-old boy was struck and killed by a school bus this morning in Williamsburg. This was in the vicinity of 5th Street and Hooper. Robert Dennis is with the NYPD's Collision Investigation Squad. He says it appears the driver was not aware that he hit the child.
The investigators are extremely professional. They deal with this all the time. It's always heartbreaking, and yes, when it's a child, it's that much more heartbreaking. It's devastating.
That's Robert Denick. Wednesday News Time 935. The NRA has filed a countersuit against the state attorney general Letitia James in the ongoing battle over the nonprofit's finances.
The NRA accuses James of weaponizing her powers to pursue what it calls a malicious retaliation campaign against it, with the sole purpose of seeking to dissolve a political enemy. James sued the NRA in August, saying it diverted millions of dollars to fund luxurious trips for officials, and she's also seeking to dismiss last month's NRA bankruptcy filing. The NRA says James lacks the authority to invoke the state's nonprofit laws and denies many of her accusations.
Correspondent Allison Keys. Wednesday News Time 936. Tiger Woods faces a difficult recovery after crashing his SUV.
LA County Sheriff Alex Villanueva says they will look into whether speed was a factor, but there were no indications of drugs or alcohol.
This is what it is, an accident.
Woods shattered bones in his lower leg. Some of the fractures went through the skin. Dr. Michael Gardner at Stanford Medical says, unfortunately,
It's very, very unlikely that he returns to be a professional golfer.
fellow golfer Rory McIlroy says for Tiger Woods, golf shouldn't be on the map right now. He's alive.
He's not Superman. You know what I mean? He's a human being at the end of the day, and he's already been through so much.
Tiger Woods was rehabbing from back surgery before the crash. I'm Ed Donahue.
Wednesday News Time 937.
Zimbabwe. The broken Bunsen burner burns so bright. South, Jamie. Southeast Asian Peninsula.
Hey, Jamie. Yeah, I think the only line we need from you today is drivers who switch to progressive could say big.
Cool. I just gotta finish my warm-ups. Foul. Throw in the towel. History.
Switch to Progressive today.
Santa ski slalom in a salmon skin suit.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates.
Chrissy is refinancing her home, so she shopped around for the lowest rate and found it at Amerisave.com, setting her up for a lifetime of savings. It's one decision she'll never regret, unlike wearing tap shoes to a surprise party.
Sorry, guys. I'm trying to find the perfect hiding place.
Pretty regrettable, Chrissy. Unlike finding that low mortgage rate at Amerisave.com that's got you on your way to a lifetime of savings. Amerisave's rates won't be this low forever, so go to Amerisave.com now. Lower mortgage rates mean higher savings. Call 866-514-SAVE or visit Amerisave.com/licensing for cost information, terms and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all states except New York. NMLS number 1168.
Wins News Time 9:38. Now 1010 Wins Entertainment News. Simpsons creator Matt Groening is defending the show's years of using white voice actors to play characters of color, telling the BBC that The Simpsons had always had all of its actors playing dozens of characters, adding something applauded decades ago is now considered politically incorrect. His comments come after white actor Harry Shearer stepped back from his role as the black character Dr. Hibbert. Paul McCartney is about to truly become a paperback writer, well, actually hardcover. McCartney will reflect on his career and 8 decades of songwriting in the upcoming autobiography, The Lyrics, 1956 to the present. News Time 9:39.
This is an urgent message for all Americans who owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt and facing financial hardship caused by the ongoing pandemic. You may qualify for the Debt Reset Program that can reduce your debt to a fraction and lower your monthly payments while you become debt-free faster than you ever thought possible. If you owe $10,000 in credit card, medical bills, debt consolidation loans, or collection accounts, get on the road to recovery now by calling National Debt Relief to see if you qualify and check for savings at 800-815-2133. National Debt Relief is ranked #1 for debt resolution with an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. If you're facing financial hardship, you can get the debt relief you need now. There are no upfront costs or out-of-pocket expenses. Call now to see if you qualify for substantial savings. Call 800-815-2133. 800-815-2133. 800-815-2133.
The 1010 Wins Neighborhood Spotlight comes to Park Slope, Brooklyn. It's a virtual event for anyone who's looking for small business advice in Brooklyn. Everything small business, everything Brooklyn. For more info and to pre-register, go to 1010wins.com/spotlight. That's 1010wins.com/spotlight.
The Newswatch never stops. This is 1010 Wins. You give us 22 minutes, we'll give you the world.
Good evening, 49 degrees at 9:40. I'm Paul James. Here's what's happening. A former aide to Governor Cuomo, who is now running for Manhattan Borough President, accuses Cuomo of sexual harassment. The governor's office says the claims are false. Johnson & Johnson's COVID-19 vaccine expected to be approved this week. A Brooklyn man facing a series of hate crime charges. President Biden taking steps to ensure we don't have shortages in the future like we saw last year. Wednesday's time, 9:41. Time for traffic and transit. Here's Kelly Dillon.
And we'll start with this overturned car in New Jersey, west on Route 24, before exit 2 in Florham Park. The left lane still out, so still a busy ride. And the western spur of the turnpike heading northbound closed for construction entirely tonight, so you have to use the eastern spur. Unfortunately, it is all jammed up at the moment with all that extra volume. Now, we do have a crash in the westbound belt, clearing up right past Prospect Boulevard. Also, one on the inbound Gowanus is right past the Prospect, clearing away construction work, jamming up the westbound Grand Central into the Kew Gardens interchange that knocks off the 2 left lanes. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. Outbound on the George upper deck under the apartments and accidents here, blocking at least a lane, so try that lower deck if you can. Inbound is quiet and still no problems either way in the Lincoln or Holland. I'm Kelly Dillon. Our next report at 9:51 on 1010 Wins.
Wins News Time 9:42. Governor Cuomo is denying allegations of sexually inappropriate conduct.
It's not going away. Former Cuomo aide Lindsey Boylan is following up on her December tweets with details, accusing the governor of repeatedly touching her on the lower back, arm, and leg, comparing her to an ex-girlfriend, and once joking they should play strip poker. Boylan says the governor also kissed her on the mouth without consent. That led to her quitting. Governor Cuomo has denied the accusations, his office calling it quite simply false. But Assembly Speaker Carl Hastie and Senate Leader Andrea Stewart-Cousins, both Democrats, call the accusations deeply troubling. And Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, no fan of the governor, says Cuomo should resign. Al Jones, 1010 Wins News.
Wins News Time 9:43. Looks like a third COVID-19 vaccine will soon be in the mix.
An independent review board for the FDA will scrutinize the data around Johnson & Johnson's single-shot COVID-19 vaccine before making a recommendation to the FDA. If all goes well and the FDA approves the vaccine, White House COVID response coordinator Jeff Zients says it will add millions of doses to the U.S. supply.
Johnson & Johnson has announced it aims to deliver a total of 20 million doses by the end of March.
He says 3 to 4 million doses of the vaccine could potentially be added to next week's distribution.
Correspondent Mark Remillard. New Jersey's 7-day average for new confirmed cases of COVID is down 12% from a week ago and down 43% from a month ago. Governor Murphy says testing continues.
We recently exceeded 500 total pop-up community-based testing sites since September. Local health centers, community centers, churches, each have been involved in the effort. This could not have happened without deep and meaningful community partnership.
57 additional COVID-related deaths in New Jersey. Dr. Anthony Fauci at a White House coronavirus response briefing said today there are many questions about the after effects of COVID-19.
What does the spectrum of recovery from this infection look like across all the entire population? Young individuals, middle-aged, elderly. How many people continue to have symptoms of COVID-19, or even, as we've seen, develop new symptoms?
Fauci pointed to a new University of Washington study that found that about 30% of COVID patients reported some symptoms for as long as 9 months. A Brooklyn man is facing a series of hate crimes charges in connection with attacks on 7 women. 5 of the attacks took place at the Morgan Avenue L train station in East Williamsburg. According to prosecutors, 29-year-old Kari Covington targeted his victims based on gender and skin color. President Biden is expected to speak soon with Saudi Arabia's Mohammed bin Salman. Reuters is reporting that the Biden administration is about to release a declassified report finding that MBS approved the 2018 killing of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki says President Biden will be direct on that phone call.
He will not hold back, and he will speak out when there are concerns he has about human rights abuses, about the lack of freedom of speech or the lack of freedom of media and expression, or any concerns he has.
The president signed an American Economic Security Order today to help ensure that the United States never again faces shortages of the critical medical equipment and other goods that we saw shortages of last year.
The president remembering the consumer crisis that began with the pandemic.
The American people should never face shortages in the goods and services they rely on, whether that's their car, or the prescription medicines, or the food at the local grocery store.
President Biden signing an order with support from both parties to help make the U.S. self-sufficient in everything from masks to computer chips the nation cannot live without.
Correspondent Andy Field. Postmaster General Louis DeJoy appeared today before the House Oversight Committee and was grilled about delays in the U.S. mail these days and other concerns. Here's an exchange between Democratic Congressman Jim Cooper of Tennessee and DeJoy.
How much longer are you planning to stay?
A long time. Get used to me.
At times during the hearing, DeJoy seemed annoyed by some of the questions he was asked, and he was critical of media coverage of him and the Postal Service under his watch. The post office is revamping its delivery vehicles. The new trucks will include some high-tech changes and improvements.
This week, the Postal Service unveiled a completely redesigned mail truck. Jalopnik's Jason Torchinsky says the next-generation delivery vehicle, or NGDV, packs a lot more tech than the old truck.
Got an actual airbag now with your own blind spot monitoring, 360-degree camera views, a backup camera.
Plus, it's designed to accommodate both gas and electric powertrains.
So my guess is these are going to be removable batteries, and as battery technology improves or changes, they'll be able to swap them out.
Correspondent Michelle Franzen there, a Long Island City man who was accused of attacking two New York City firefighters who were responding to an emergency call Monday. 37-year-old Clarence Smith is facing assault charges. The U.S. Capitol's acting police chief says some officers made mistakes during the riot last month.
Yogananda Pittman's giving new details about the police response to the attack. In a statement submitted for a House hearing tomorrow, she says officers did not properly lock down the Capitol complex once an order was given and did not understand when they were allowed to use deadly force. Her statement fills in crucial details as lawmakers investigate what went wrong. Pittman took over the force after Chief Stephen Sund resigned under pressure following the attack, despite what she calls
It's 42 degrees in Baldwin, 45 degrees in Newark, 43 in Thornwood. Winds news time 9:49.
Has your income been affected by COVID-19? Is the IRS breathing down your neck? Are you receiving threatening letters from the IRS? Do you have unfiled tax returns? Does your company owe payroll taxes? Has the IRS filed a lien against you? If you owe the IRS over $10,000, On Point Resolution may be able to settle your entire IRS tax debt for up to 65% off the original amount owed, including penalties and interest if you qualify. They help taxpayers resolve their tax issues with the IRS for 12 years and can help you too. Call 833-SOLVE-MY to see if you qualify for immediate relief today. If you or your business has been affected by COVID-19, the IRS is making some of the most lenient deals they've made in years. There may never be a better time to settle with the IRS than right now. They offer a free, no-obligation consultation over Zoom or the phone. You don't even have to drive to their offices. Everything can be handled remotely. Call 833-SOLVE-MY to receive relief now. That's 833-SOLVE-MY or visit them at onpointresolution.com.
Do you check your Google search results regularly? You should. People often get their first impression of you or your business online. Negative comments on the internet can impact your life and your livelihood. Take control of your online reputation. Get your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com. It may reveal negative posts from an ex-employee, upset patient or client, news article, legal issue, or even exposed personal information right there in your Google search results. Uncover what's lurking on the internet about you with reputationdefender.com's patented scan and get your free reputation report card.
That's aimed to extend the useful life of the existing infrastructure by as much as 30 years. You will see a lot of work in the area of structural steel repair, repainting of steel on the overpasses, concrete substructure repairs. The bridges will be resurfaced. Their decks will essentially be milled down 2 inches and new pavement will be installed in its place. The barrier and parapets on each side of the travel lanes are going to be replaced, as they are, I believe, either original or they go back to the 1970s and 80s rehab, and they are no longer considered appropriate per modern standards. So those are going to be replaced. Expansion joints are going to be replaced. Bridge bearings are going to be replaced. There's a lot here, and there's a lot that has to be done. There's a lot that's been put off for a number of years. So this scope is going to be all-inclusive. It's going to require the full closure of certain bridges, the rerouting of traffic onto others. In fact, this project is going to be tackled really in 2 major phases, where each direction of I-95 is for all intents and purposes, shut down one direction at a time, and the existing roadway will be converted for two-way traffic. So the thing to remember is that especially the Adams-Jackson structure is really a pair of twin-span bridges. Each of them are 2 lanes wide. DelDOT is going to effectively shut down one of those bridges at a time and redirect I-95 traffic, two-way traffic, onto the other bridge that remains open. There was probably some consideration done to just completely shutting down one direction of traffic and not utilizing two-way on the other bridge. That's a little tricky though, because you do need to maintain access into the city from both directions. So they couldn't really give this project the Michigan treatment where they can just shut down one direction of freeway entirely. That really wouldn't work necessarily on this project. In fact, when they rehabbed the interstate back in the late 70s, they did a similar thing where they shut down one half of the freeway at a time and then routed two-way traffic on the other half. So each of these 2 phases, which involves shutting down of one half of the freeway, are expected to each take 1 year. So the bulk of the heavy lifting on this project is supposed to take 2 years from the time that it starts, which should be any day or week now. So we can fully expect substantial completion of this project scope in time for the spring of 2023. Now, DelDOT, in preparation for this project, also undertook improvements both with the local street grid and also with some of the infrastructure directly involving I-95. In fact, what we would consider to be the pre-stage work for the Restore the Core project involved the replacement of the southbound on-ramp from Jackson Street onto 95 southbound right near town. This ramp dates to the early to mid-60s. It was very substandard. It was outright replaced with a new ramp that provides a much better merge area at the top. If you've ever driven that ramp, as I have, you know that you get to the top of the ramp and there's freeway traffic right next to you and there is literally no merge area. In fact, you are only really greeted with a yield sign at the top, and there's literally no merge area there. So that is one project that was completed as a prerequisite for this much larger program that is now about to get underway. Other improvements that DelDOT undertook in advance of this project involved the retiming of streetlights, especially along Adams and Jackson Street, and also the resurfacing of major city streets in the vicinity of I-95, as those streets are expected to take a lot of alternate volume, especially for local traffic, as this project begins and as it continues for the next couple of years. Because in addition to the shutdown of mainline lanes along I-95, there will be short to intermediate term ramp closures. The ramps to Maryland Avenue will be shut down and rerouted and detoured. The ramps to and from Delaware Avenue downtown will be shut down periodically and detoured. So there's going to be quite a significant shift in travel habits and traffic patterns associated with this project for the next couple of years. So these are all things that DelDOT developed during the early, period of planning for this project and identifying the scope of what had to be done. And they realized that really the only good way to do a lot of this was to just shut down whole parts of the highway and parts of, connecting pieces of it in order to be able to complete this work in a shorter time frame. Yes, the disruptions are going to be significant in town, there's no question about that, but it is hoped that the reduced time frame that it takes to complete it will help things in the long term. DelDOT is also actively going to be advising motorists to just completely avoid the area if you're not heading into Wilmington itself. Make use of I-495 around the east side of Wilmington. It's there. It's not going anywhere. Unless something bizarre happens again on the Christina River Bridge, but that's another discussion for another day. So 495 is there. You can also skip across to New Jersey on 295 and the Delaware Memorial Bridge. That's a great option for long-distance travelers. With 95 reduced to 1 lane per direction for the next 2 years through Wilmington, it's probably going to be one of those places that you're going to want to avoid. So I would, if I were you and I was planning a trip in that area, I would certainly be looking into alternate routes, unless you're me. I mean, I'll want to go check it out myself as it progresses. But it's safe to say that 95 through downtown Wilmington is going to be a place you'll want to avoid if you're looking to get anywhere at all for the next couple of years until 2023. Okay, so as a quick recap, I-95 Restore the Corridor. It's going to extend the lifetime of this highway, hopefully, by at least the next 30 years. There will be major repairs done to as many as 19 bridges and overpasses between Newport and Concord Pike. The entire highway is going to be resurfaced, including bridge decks, and also major repairs and replacements made to key bridge components, including bearings, substructure, and structural steel. The whole project is going to get started in February 2021 and should last until the spring of 2023, when we will have hopefully a brand new, or at least a new looking highway to enjoy for many years to come. And again, the disruptions here from a traffic standpoint are going to be significant. There's no getting around the fact that 95 is a pretty darn busy highway. It carries about 100,000 vehicles a day. It's very hard to move all those vehicles somewhere else without causing problems elsewhere. So northeastern Delaware is going to be a bit of a headache for the next couple of years. I do have to say that DelDOT has done a fantastic job of alerting people, giving them a lot of heads up as far as not only the project itself, but also, being honest with people and saying, this is going to be a pretty disruptive project and you're going to want to seek alternate routes and alternate travel times and stuff like that. There's just no getting around the fact that when you're trying to do a major rehab in an urban area like this, big time disruptions are just not avoidable. And there's certain things that you can do as far as traffic management is concerned. We have the ability now to give motorists heads up, way before they reach an area, as far as telling them to avoid a certain stretch of highway. So you can expect a lot of VMS signs in southeast Pennsylvania, northern Delaware, to be directing motorists to 495 as an alternate route. And we will have to see how this goes. It's going to be one of the bigger projects in DelDOT's most recent history. So from a statewide perspective, this is going to be a landmark project. And, the engineer in me is really looking forward to seeing how this goes. I have not seen a big project in the state really since I was a kid, and I was keeping track of what was going on Route 1 between the Wilmington area and Dover. Again, that's another episode for another day. But this is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to watching the progress and seeing how the state manages the traffic and how all that goes. And of course, from the engineering perspective, seeing all the bridge work that's going to be taking place. And hopefully we can revisit this project on multiple occasions in the short and somewhat intermediate future as it progresses. So that is pretty much the overview of the Restore the Corridor project in the city of Wilmington. If you would like to learn more about the project and keep up with the progress, you can visit the project-specific website that DelDOT has set up. It is restorethecorridor.com. That's all one word, restorethecorridor.com. DelDOT also recommends that you download their app, and they will send you instant updates giving you everything you need to know about traffic congestion and developments along the I-95 corridor through Wilmington. Everything you need to know about the project and what's going on, you can find them all on DelDOT's page and also on restorethecorridor.com. So that's going to do it for this overview of 95 in Wilmington. We will be back shortly here. I'm going to do a quick voice break again, and we'll be back one final time to wrap things up right here on Just Passing Through on the Gribble Nation Roadcast. We'll talk to you in a moment. Don't go anywhere.
Oh, temper, temper.
Getting more and more folks in the schools vaccinated over time.
Currently, 30,000 teachers have been vaccinated. He describes the city safety guidelines as the gold standard, adopted by many other cities, even the CDC. His next step, opening high schools.
Recovery for all of us means our public schools are there for our kids in every community. That's why I am adamant our public schools need to be fully opened in September.
Juliet Papa, 1010 Wins News.
The Food and Drug Administration is expected to authorize the emergency use of Johnson & Johnson's COVID-19 vaccine. But even if that happens, it would not significantly boost vaccine supplies right away.
We were surprised to learn that Johnson & Johnson was behind on their manufacturing.
That's White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki. To be clear, Johnson & Johnson's vaccine has not yet received FDA's green light, though that is expected in a matter of days. But even so, White House Virus Response Coordinator Jeff Zients notes the company is expected to
deliver the full 100 million doses, which is required by contract by the end of June.
And he says the Biden administration is helping J&J with equipment and raw materials to boost production.
I think they're in a better place now.
And if emergency use is approved,
we will waste no time getting this life-saving vaccine into the arms of Americans.
And Thomas, Washington.
CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky says COVID variants from the UK, South Africa, and Brazil are popping up in the United States.
As of February 23rd, we now have identified nearly 1,900 cases of B117 variants in 45 states, 46 cases of the B1351 variant in 14 states, and 5 cases of the P1 variant in 4 states.
A large, real-world test confirms that Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine is very effective at preventing serious illness or death.
The Pfizer vaccine showed benefits in smaller, limited testing. Now, results published in the New England Journal of Medicine after a mass vaccination campaign give reassurance that the benefits persist when the vaccine's used in a general population. In this case, more than 500,000 people in Israel of varying ages and health conditions. It was 62% effective at preventing severe disease after a single shot and 92% after 2 doses. Its estimated effectiveness will prevent death 72% 2 to 3 weeks after the first shot. The numbers overall compare well to the effectiveness seen in limited testing. Sagar Magani, Washington.
Wednesday News Time 10:06. A 6-year-old boy was struck and killed by a school bus in Williamsburg this morning. It happened on South 5th Street near Cooper Street. Robert Dennig is with the NYPD Collision Investigation Squad.
Preliminary, we believe the driver did not know that he struck the child, but the investigation is ongoing and that will be determined.
Less than 2 weeks ago, 25-year-old Carlos Clark was released from an upstate prison. The parolee is now back behind bars, accused of trying to sexually assault a woman in Prospect Park around 3:45 p.m. She managed to fight him off. He faces charges of committing a criminal sex act, unlawful imprisonment, and robbery. The Supreme Court, by teleconference, focused today on a case that tests how often police can enter homes without a warrant for misdemeanors. Correspondent Steve Dorsey.
Oyez, oyez, oyez.
The case stems from California man Arthur Lang's drunk driving charge after an officer entered his garage after following him home for erratic driving and smelled alcohol. Lang's attorney, Jeffrey Fisher.
The home is the Fourth Amendment's most protected place and an extraordinary privacy interest.
The challenge for the court is when a misdemeanor allows for a warrantless entry, especially when states punish misdemeanor offenses differently. Justice Stephen Breyer.
That's what I don't see how to draw this line, misdemeanor felony.
Now this message. If you've been injured in any type of accident, call 1-800-LAWYERS. 1-800-LAWYERS. 49 degrees, mostly cloudy skies, humidity 56%. It's 48 in Patterson, 44 in Merrick, 44 in Thornwood. Wednesday News Time, 10:08. Bruce Springsteen pleaded guilty today to a single misdemeanor count of consuming alcohol where he wasn't supposed to.
Bruce Springsteen was in Gateway National Recreation Area in New Jersey back in November when he now concedes he took 2 small shots of tequila. There's no alcohol allowed on the federal property, and Springsteen agreed to plead guilty and pay a $500 fine. He had faced 2 other charges, including DWI and reckless driving, but those were dismissed. Federal prosecutors said while Springsteen declined an initial breath test, he did submit to one at a park ranger station and registered a .02 blood alcohol content. That's well beneath the legal limit.
In wake of the light sentence, Jeep, according to Variety, is reinstating its high-profile Super Bowl commercial featuring Springsteen. Wednesday News Time, 10:09.
If you drive a car, truck, SUV, or vehicle of any kind, you need Get Upside, the free gas app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy. That's right, with the free Get Upside gas app, you can get up to 25 cents a gallon cash back every time you buy gas. Nearly 3 million people have earned cash back with Get Upside just for buying gas.
I always use Get Upside. Some months I make $200 to $300.
I love getting money back for things I use every day. It's just free money for buying gas.
There's no catch. It's simple, and you get your cash back right away.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to save up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code OIL for a 50-cent per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 75 cents a gallon on your next fill-up. You can cash out anytime to PayPal or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Earn cash back on gas on every fill-up. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code OIL for a 50-cent per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code OIL.
Looking for your next investment? Want to cash out of stock market risk and volatility? Here are 8 reasons to consider NRIA's proven real estate development fund. Monthly cash flow payouts of 10% annualized and bonuses to 21% targeted. We strategically locate in lower risk, high demand areas people are moving to. New construction is short on supply. Real estate affords diversification and safety from stock market risk and volatility. We have substantial property assets selling out every month supporting your investment. Our short and long-term strategy provides for steady returns today and major upside targets. Our buildings are socially responsible, environmentally friendly, and pandemic hardened. We are an industry leader with a 15-year proven track record. Hedge against inflation and receive steady cash flow. Start your due diligence at nria.net or call 800-800-1414. That's 800-800-1414.
An offer of securities is only made by the NRIA private placement memorandum. Read it first. Past performance does not guarantee future results. NRIA is a real estate development firm. Learn more at nria.net.
Wednesday News Time, 10:11. Transit, here's Kelly Dillon.
And we'll start with the northbound Bronx River Parkway. Still an accident at 263rd Street. Getting cleared away with some minor slowdowns here. The westbound bound still a bit slower at Crossway Boulevard, where we do have a crash also getting cleared up. The West Side Highway and the FDR Drive, not too bad. The western spur of the New Jersey Turnpike northbound, that's closed completely for construction tonight. Everyone has to use the northbound eastern spur, and as a result, traffic is at a standstill with all that extra volume. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. The Queensboro Bridge both ways, the lower decks have the right lane down each way for overnight construction work and the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel. One too bound, the other taking two-way traffic. This report is sponsored by MajorWorld.com. Major World, Mohammed City. No games, no gimmicks, just straight up honest pricing. At Major World, a $75 dealer fee is the only dealer fee you'll pay. That's the Major World promise. Visit MajorWorld.com or call 1-800-MAJOR-AUTO. I'm Kelly Dillon. Our next report at 10:21 on 10:10 Wednesday.
Here's news time 10:12 now. The 10:10 Winds IQ Weather Extension 4-day forecasters Brian Thompson.
After the overnight hours, Carolina spotty shower early. Otherwise, we'll be brisk with patchy clouds. Low 37 in the city, low 30s in the suburbs. Mostly sunny on Thursday. We'll be windy and chilly with a high of 45. Clear to partly cloudy Thursday nights. Will be colder, but not as windy. Low 31 in Midtown, mid-20s in the suburbs. Mainly sunny for Friday. Might actually feel a little bit milder with less wind, a high of 43. Rain will arrive late Friday night. Could be mixed with some snow or sleet at the start. We'll have occasional rain on Saturday with a high of 51. Could have another round of some showers arriving by late in the day on Sunday. With a fair amount of clouds, we'll see a high of 48. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Brian Thompson on New York's weather station, 1010 Winds.
49 degrees, mostly cloudy in Midtown. Humidity 56%. 48 degrees in West Orange, 44 in Merrick, 44 degrees in Bronxville. Winds News Time 10:13.
In 1934, African Americans were restricted to one job in New York's transit system, cleaning the subway and buses as porters. Due to discrimination, there were no African American bus operators, train operators, conductors, or maintainers. But a new industrial union was organizing the workforce with a radical new idea. All transit workers should join together in one union, regardless of race. The Transport Workers Union promised equal access to promotions for all and an end to Jim Crow in transit. The workers showed faith in these promises by voting in huge numbers to join TWU. TWU signed its first subway contract in 1937, winning historic pay gains for African Americans and all transit workers. By 1941, African Americans on all subway and bus lines were being hired in all transit jobs, thanks to the battles fought and won by the TWU.
I'm Tony Utano, president of the Transport Workers Union Local 100. We move New York.
Switch to T-Mobile for Business and get up to 90 days of service free via virtual rebate on your business plan. You get a great deal, the largest 5G network, and first-class benefits like Microsoft 365 on us. It's better for business and only with T-Mobile for Business. Limited time offer. Stop in store for details. Plus taxes and fees for some plans. Virtual Express MasterCard within 8 weeks of receipt of valid submission. Complete port within 60 days. See T-Mobile.com for 5G devices coverage and plan details.
All those in favor of the COVID-19 vaccine, raise your arms. Safe and effective COVID-19 vaccines are here. Get yours when it's available to you. Learn more at nyc.gov/COVID-vaccines. With COVID-19 vaccines here, New York City is coming back strong. Safe and effective vaccines are coming to all New Yorkers soon. Get vaccinated when it becomes available to you. Learn more at nyc.gov/COVID-vaccines.
Winds News Time 10:15. There will be a limited number of fans watching in person when the Islanders play at the Coliseum March 11th. According to News 12, 1,000 Northwell Health frontline workers will be there. On March 18th, the place will be open to season ticket holders, but capacity will be limited to 10%. Yankees pitcher Domingo Germán spoke to reporters today through an interpreter to address his return to the team after a long suspension for domestic violence.
I have made mistakes, of which I'm not proud of. And for that, I want to apologize. When my team needed me the most, in 2019, before we started the playoffs, I wasn't there for them. And for that, I ask your forgiveness.
Manager Aaron Boone said Germán has been crisp in bullpens, but can't be compared to his 2019 form yet. What was that American Airlines pilots saw fly by them on Sunday in northeastern New Mexico?
The report came in from the pilots of American Airlines Flight 2292 heading to Phoenix, flying at altitude, calling in that something had just missed them.
Have any targets up here? We just had something go right over the top of us.
The audio from live ATC, the pilots describing what they saw.
I hate to say this, looked like a long cylindrical
object that almost looked like a cruise missile type of thing.
But radar didn't show anything in the area. It's now an unidentified flying object the FBI is investigating.
Correspondent Alex Stone. Over a century, tucked away in a family's private collection, a painting by Vincent van Gogh will soon be shown to the public for the very first time.
The painting of a couple walking past a windmill has been rediscovered after being in private ownership for more than a century.
It's the windmill, one of the windmills, the pepper mills that was in Montmartre until 1911.
Senior Director of Impressionist and Modern Art at Sotheby's Auctioneers, Etienne Hellman, says the painting, titled A Street Scene in Montmartre, is one of a series of works Van Gogh painted while living in the Paris neighborhood with his brother Theo.
This painting also is very moving and as a testimony to their relationship when they lived together.
Sotheby's will display the 1887 painting in Amsterdam, Hong Kong and Paris before it's auctioned next month.
Correspondent Elaine Cobb. AccuWeather calling for some patchy clouds, a breezy night. Cannot rule out a spotty shower before midnight. A low of 37 in New York City, low 30s in the suburbs tomorrow. Mostly sunny, windy, and chilly. High 45. It's 49, mostly cloudy in Midtown. Winds news time 10:17.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-333-1750. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-333-1750. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-333-1750. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-333-1750. 800-333-1750.
This is important information from Spectre Law Group, New York's most trusted immigration lawyers. Do you want to bring your family from overseas to finally become a citizen of this great country? Call now, 646-543-0745. 646-543-0745.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents.
And Doug.
Okay, class, let's bump it up tonight.
Come on, Limu, keep pedaling. We gotta build our endurance to let more people know that Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance. So you only pay for what you need.
Pick up the pace, third leg.
Hey, don't talk to Limu like that.
I'm not, I'm talking to you.
Liberty, 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 Liberty. Get a customized quote at libertymutual.com.
I'm Dr. Baker, an ER physician. If you're having leg pain, swelling, or redness, but haven't talked to your doctor yet, don't wait. This could be deep vein thrombosis, a blood clot which could travel to your lungs and lead to a pulmonary embolism, which could cause chest pain or discomfort or difficulty breathing and be deadly. Your symptoms can mean something serious, so don't wait. Talk to a doctor right away, by phone, online, or in person.
Brought to you by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
A billion-dollar fight is brewing between the biggest names in tech over tracking your iPhone. Find out more about the privacy battle on a new episode of our in-depth podcast. Listen on 1010wins.com.
All news, all the time. This is 1010 Wins. You give us 22 minutes, we'll give you the world.
Good evening, 49 degrees at 10:20. I'm Paul James. Here's what's happening. Governor Cuomo accused by a former aide of inappropriate behavior. The governor's office says the claims are false. 2 more mass vaccination sites open in New York City. Middle schools in the city to resume in-person learning tomorrow. Tiger Woods has a long recovery ahead of him. Wednesday on 1021. Traffic and transit, here's Kelly Dillon.
And we'll start in New Jersey. A mess on the turnpike tonight. The northbound western spur closed completely for overnight construction work. And as a result, only the northbound eastern spur getting by tonight. So it is at a standstill.